Online culture in general has become obsessed with luxury. Consumers are interested in it. Brands want to know how to sell at luxury and premium price points. And it's something that I've worked in almost my whole life. But to command those price points, to be able to call your product a luxury product, to be able to say, I'm going to be able to charge a significant worth, you need to have a certain set of principles that your brand is going to be able to work with. And as a consumer, you need to be able to see these things and respect what it is to know whether or not it's worth your dollar. I'm going to breeze through a bunch of the brands who are doing premium and luxury online presences, mostly on websites. We'll touch a little bit on social throughout this video. This is going to be a whole series of different ways that brands come across as luxury, designer, and premium online. One of the first brands I'm going to talk about is Aesop. Not just their gorgeous website they have here, but they actually have an amazing design resource called the Taxonomy of Design. So this website that you see here, I'm scrolling through, is a catalog of every retail store that they have and all the materials and individual items used in those stores. This has come up pretty frequently inside of projects that I've worked on for interiors, when we were actually working on the inside of storefronts, when we were working on redoing our house, because it highlights all these individual features, like these really cool individual things that people put together you can use for inspiration. And it's also an in-depth catalog of materials that you could actually see in use and then use as references. Why am I talking about it? Aesop is taking the time to catalog this for all of their amazing retail locations and put it online for free. And they're doing it as a resource for people who are spending money on creating luxury interior experiences to use them as a reference and to showcase the care and intention that goes into building their brand. This is the kind of initiative that it's not some big social media campaign. It's something that's happening in the background that's useful, creates value, and then tells a real story about the brand and the decisions that go into it, and uses a reference point to continually connect back to Aesop in professional work around interiors where the brand shines. And it's filled with quotes from whether it's John Muir or Thoreau. They're building their brand identity with this kind of content. This is a good time to talk about the core tenets of what makes a premium brand a luxury. The first is product quality. So before we even have the conversations around how do we make this amazing brand online or create this amazing website, you have to have a product that is above the rest in your category. And you don't have to have the best, but it needs to be above good. And definitely needs to be above average. If you're going to be average and try to stand out through all this ultra premium marketing, it's only going to get so far versus being slightly above average. And so if you don't have that, I would focus on that. You'll notice that almost all of these luxury experiences have that level of craftsmanship inside them, have that level of product experience. And this is good because that extra bit is what you need to begin to storytell. Because the second key item, and one that a lot of brands forget about, even though it seems like common sense, is you actually have to tell people the difference between your product and regular products. You have to explain that craftsmanship, those materials, the reason the experience is better or different, the thought and intention and history that went into it. Because people don't just assume something is luxury, they have to know. And I like to talk about the 1%. Not just the fact that the 1% of people who have wealth are looking to buy these products, but the 1% of consumers who really care about your website, about your social media, about your brand experience. Because there's two 1% that really matter in premium branding. The 1% where cost doesn't matter because a lot of us are competing for their dollars in an infinite amount of products. You want to be on their radar and you sell to them in a different way than consumers that are more sales driven, etc. And then the 1% who care, the advocates, because advocates are extremely important in premium branding because a lot of premium brands are sold by tastemakers who can't actually afford them. Fashion industry is a great example of this. There are hundreds of amazingly curated mood board accounts and influencers who may be able to afford like a single Margiela piece, but they certainly aren't frequently shopping. They aren't getting couture. But they are the voices that people with money look to for taste. And these advocates are the people dissecting these web pages and these campaigns and every lookbook. And it is important to cater to them because of the people that they influence, as it is to cater to the customer demographic when it comes to this level of storytelling. So when I refer to the 1%, you can refer to that as the wealth end of it and also the taste-making end of it. And those are the people that are going through every single page being like, what's that sustainability program look like? I wonder how they made this. And I don't want to talk about this just in like high-end fashion, etc. I want to talk about premium price points across anything and performance stuff as well. So Arcteryx is a great example I love to talk about because Arcteryx has obviously become very popular recently. When I first heard about them, I was working in the outdoors industry. It came up in conversation a lot with hunters, guys from the Marines who I knew, people who took actual like, hey, I'm gonna go summit this peak, like lifestyle very seriously, bought Arcteryx because of its performance. And they were getting those recommendations from their community around performance. But I like to highlight the Explore tab on their website because they have tons and tons of initiatives and storytelling in there. So this whole No Wasted Days campaign, which is just kind of like a big marketing campaign that they have, where they just have tons of content and all these areas you can check out and events and things like that. They have the full who we are that you'd expect, but it's this kind of big interactive story that's kind of being told in all these different ways they put on their website. Super expansive. events, academies, films they sponsor, their whole athletes and ambassadors page of building that out. And this is another one I want to highlight because like a lot of brands have influencers or have sponsor athletes. They don't have a section on their website for them. And it's like, think of every website, like an old school 90s skateboarding website, like people are going to go click on the team, so who represents you. And if you've got influencers now or whatever that is, like if you've got some sort of deal with them or long term, like put them on the site, let people know. It may not build affinity for everybody, but for the people it does, it's great. And then it exposes you that the brand is doing more to people that may not know. And this is cool because like, look, I don't know much about, summiting peaks, but if I did, I would love to be able to go here and be like, all right, I should go look into what Isabella Santuari is doing. Then there's the brand choices. And Arcteryx is another great one for this because obviously cool logo, they go into the depth behind it, but they also have put a ton of time into putting their products into nomenclature. A lot of stuff happens in these premium brands behind the scene. You need to think about different lines and setups, etc. Like I'm about to release the Valuable shirts. Valuable is my brand. And we have a couple different versions of them. I have this first version I did that's like the core shirt or adjusting the sizing and then I'll fully like name it. But for now, I'm not naming it, putting it in any nomenclature. It's just the first shirt. Second shirt we're doing is this ultra heavyweight, like extremely super distressed, crazy wash, a shirt that's very, very hard to execute. And we are putting it through like a proprietary naming. And it's the Century wash, this like specific wash that we developed with the factory to be able to do this on this really specific fabric that is like very unique and hard to get. And I'm going to brand that shirt as like the flagship at a certain price point for people that want like a shirt that feels like a Kevlar vest. But then I have our standard shirt, which is the first shirt we had, but we changed some of the measurements after the first run. We're making it slightly different, more to our own. Still heavy, but not that heavy, and more of our everyday. And that's going to live in a different place at a different price point. And then over time, as we introduce new things, we're going to have those categories. But if I just put those out there and I don't start branding them and saying, oh, this is the Century Wash t-shirt, and this is, the everyday valuable tee, whatever it ends up being, and then explain it, people don't know, they're just going to see those names and go away. But if you begin to build that up over time and you develop that, it shows the intention that goes into it. It lets consumers know I should choose this or that, or, oh, they actually have thought that goes into why this is different than that. And Arcteryx has taken this to just a crazy degree, right? Because they make technical garments in all kinds of ways people rely on in potential life and death scenarios. And so they have all this iconography they've built out, all these different systems and sub-brands. They have all these product modifiers for how they're used and if you can use it where or when, product families. I mean, this is extensive. And they break it down here on this website. And that is an important thing if you have developed to go and show people and shows the intention that goes into that brand and immediately brings this performance and premium to anyone who goes down that rabbit hole. And the same thing goes into like the materials and the science behind it. They got this whole section on how high their stitch count is, on custom lug designs, articulated fit. Like this is a great art directed, and we'll get to art directed a little later, area on their design. And they have a whole film series on how obsessive they take their design. Now, this is a brand, obviously, they've gotten, now I believe they're acquired by like a big Chinese group, have big tons of money over time, have extensive storytelling to do. I'm not saying you have to have this to start, but if you are a big brand, if you are a brand that's doing tens of millions of dollars a year, and you're not beginning to describe your process or explain it online, you're trying to position yourself as premium, you're not doing your brand justice. And if you're getting bigger than that, you should really be thinking about how am I building that long-term brand affinity and explain to customers what I do. And each one of these things, I'll have a whole separate video on luxury and social media later, but like this is also like the same thing. Okay, we're gonna talk about high stitch count, why it matters inside performance gear. They put all this together. This isn't crazy, right? It's just photos, some light text, and explaining why they care about this particular thing they do and why they choose the things in their product they do. That is multiple social media videos, carousels, and an email blast. And it's a core part of your website. Like building marketing out and saying, how can we repurpose it, make it holistic is like a super important way to look at content now. And telling those stories as a premium brand is throughout it. But enough about Arcteryx. Arcteryx is a very literal version of it. Let's talk about Ambush. And we're going to dive from this idea that you need to have a great product to position yourself premium, to you need to explain to people why it's a great product, to you need to world build. You need to start explaining the why and the about your brand. A lot of traditional luxury and heritage brands have a rich history, right? You can go back to 1700s France when the first person, cobbled together this perfect boot that became, the Louis Vuitton, whatever. They're able to rely on that on time. And when you look at what luxury really is, it's this combination of product experience, desirability from users, and then execution, and actually hitting that standard. And then you have a time underneath it. Like, have you been able to be desirable for a long time? Have you been able to execute your product standard for a long time? And the longer it is, the more entrenched in luxury it becomes. But for brands that don't have that heritage, that are newer brands, how do you achieve that? And world building is really the way. You need to be able to tell a story that is compelling as a story of a heritage or legacy fashion house or someone who has that real luxury feel, but in a shorter time period. Ambush is a fun example. Really cool and interesting brand. I absolutely love their garments, the things they put together in their world, the collabs with Nike, the personalities and Yoon. But they go to this universe tab on their site. Hidden away, we got universe. Art and design theory. We have a whole segment of the literal art and design theory that defines the backbone of their brand. So I can go be like, Samu no Gucci. I don't know anything about this. Oh, now I'm actually getting a lesson in art and design history. And the people that care about a brand like Ambush care about this. I am a Target Ambush customer. I've bought Ambush. I will buy more Ambush. And I am very happy that they have now introduced me to the amazing world of Osamu no Gucci. And whenever I'm going to look for some inspiration, this is a great place for me to go. I'm going to go to an entire website of the inspirations of a brand I like. And that's just one of the sections that they're putting out there inside this universe. Then we have this whole field study section. It's a bunch of interesting things they're having out in the world. This living world section. A whole series showcasing record shops in Tokyo. Their artifacts and items they've made that serve a specific kind of art purpose. I love this timeless watch design. This is fun. And highlights and details of their campaigns. This is all content that most brands have, right? In putting together my brand, we have extensive mood boards, extensive references. We're putting together campaigns. Just taking all that and archiving it and cataloging on the website so people can see separates you immediately from people that won't take the time and care to do that. And then the actual things that you collect and showcase begin to be the world that you're building. Can we look at someone like Loro Piana is gotten into prominence with the quiet luxury movement. People have begun to know a lot more about the brand. It's been around forever. And they've been selling a lot of things based on the Gift of Kings is a type of wool they have, this really expensive wool. It's an $11,000 shirt because of the wool. But they're detailing to you why this is the world's most precious wool in their thorough multimedia web experience, right? And they're able to tell the history of how they put together the Gift of Kings and all that heritage. But a brand that I love that has basically shortcutted the storytelling of a really premium brand is Flamingo Estate. So first they have great art direction, and we'll hit art direction a little bit later on. But the way Flamingo Estate immediately clamped into this luxury feel was by basing the brand around an estate. This is a physical, real place that the founder bought. Is immaculately curated, a perfect place to stage the kind of things that they do. They set a huge amount of the content they do in and around it. And I love this release that they did with Benny Ruggs. Looks like these CGI and animated campaigns that people like Jacques Mou were putting out, but it's real. They're literally at the Flamingo Estate rolling out a real rug, just shot via drone. And with a place like this, look at this place. I have this kind of cool, very budget version of this, behind me, but look at this. This is the frame with which they get to set the lens of their brand. And literally by picking an amazing location and investing in that, and even if that ends up being the founder's house or it's a studio that you convert to be super interesting, the idea of taking a physical location and using that to create the world building of your brand is super powerful and can speed up this world building process considerably if that place has a rich history and has an environment that is conducive to amazing storytelling. Which brings us to art direction. We've talked about product quality, telling your product story, building a world around your product, having to do that over time. But then there's intention. Every single decision that you make as a brand that wants to justify a premium price point has to have intention. The more things you do without intention, the more you are devaluing your brand, either consciously or subconsciously, to consumers that have high expectations. So what do I mean by that? Look at this Flamingo Estate pop-up. There's a very artful picture of these puppies that's very well chosen as something that they feel is going to get this right response. Look at me, even their Mother's Day promo. Look how architected this imagery is. This isn't your average promo. And it didn't take a lot more than intention of creation. Even the styling of these individual photos. It's an amazing styled photo. Another great one. And look at this. Look, this is immaculate brand storytelling for a soap. There's 3 images in this carousel, but they all have extreme intention put into them. And if you are a brand that wants to be taken seriously at a premium price point, every single decision being intentional in every photo you choose, in every part of your website, everything you choose to put on social media, every email campaign, every font, it's one of those things where don't agonize over it to the point of inaction, but just have intention, have a single good idea or concept. Just put one concept, one thing into everything you do that says this is why this is special. All right, I'll bring up Kelly Worsler's site. So this is another great one where everything is art directed, as you should. She's an amazing designer. And then her target demographic is people who are spending money on design. Look at this pop-up. I have a lot of conversations. I consult with a lot of brands that are trying to achieve this kind of luxury idea. And they don't want to do standard things that brands do to get leads or get emails. Oh, we don't want to do a pop-up. That's not up to our brand standard. Pop-ups is how people get emails. So either you're going to get emails or you're not going to get emails unless you have some new grand idea. But how do you do it and do it from a luxury manner? And literally it's just intention. This pop-up right here is gorgeous. I, as their target consumer demographic, someone who wastes a bunch of money on great design, I see this pop-up, I go, this is immaculate. I am intrigued to sign up in a way that normally you just X out. And that all it took, again, was intention of design. And everything that someone says, oh, we can't do this, not up to our brand standard. It can be up to your brand standard with design intention, with art direction. If you don't have that internally, hire art directors that do. This is a jewelry brand that I love. One of the chains I wear all the time is from them. Again, every single choice in this website was made intentionally. Look at that hand. One strong decision inside any photo or video or pop-up makes a huge difference. Which leads me to content. Again, we'll have a whole video on premium and luxury social media later, but Gia is a great example where it's like, if you want people to have a premium item in their lives, showing them how to use it tends to be really helpful. And there's styling content for clothing, which is really useful. But I love Gia as an example because of its drink content. Look at these recipes. Immaculately art directed. And it gives me a reason, as a frequent Gia drinker, I have a literal, just Gia after Gia, 2 more flavors in here. I buy a ton of those. I don't drink alcohol because I'm gonna go to their website and I've made like 7 of these. And they're fun and it's interesting and it's a different way for me to engage with the brand. I know that it exists. And for them, like, this is just a way to flex amazing art direction. And then each one of these, again, is a amazing social media post. You can turn this into a carousel just of the recipe itself, and you can turn it into a short form video of someone making it. You can turn it into a taste test of this one versus that one, or a collaboration with an influencer behind a bar being like, oh, which are these 3? You know, like, oh, let's make the da-da-da-da. All this is just the foundation of making content. But having it live on web has this extra propensity to like build the brand standard out. Gentle Monster, another amazing kind of art direction example, obviously very like postmodern in this Jenny collab. Shout out Korea. Mason Margiela. But one of the things I like most about this is their stories tab, where their stories tab is literally Instagram stories. Like, it is using the same UI UX as the Instagram platform to be able to navigate between their campaigns. And they're showing every campaign. And if you have campaigns, you should be showing all of them. Give people that full diaspora of what the brand looks like. And what I like about what they've done is, you know, you can definitely go and dive into these pretty extensive and weird campaigns that they've done, like these AI student ID cards, and interact with them in different ways. And again, I know a lot of brands aren't able to afford to or do this. Honestly, you can get developers to be doing some stuff like this for like low thousands. Honestly, they're really killing probably hundreds. They just have a very wide variety of things in here displayed in a lot of different ways. I was looking for one that I was trying to find that had like a cake. I don't think it wasn't the Margiela one. It was like super interactive, but doesn't really matter. Art direction, intention, thought, and this is taken to the like most logical, most intense conclusion of it. But then let's talk about bridging the gap to real life. That's the last piece of this, because premium experiences rarely live just 100% online. We'll hit this concept of CRM for a second. CRM, you know, customer relationship management. You know, like I have bought a lot from Louis Vuitton at points in my life. I have a Louis Vuitton rep. This is a salesperson who is assigned to me, who has me inside Salesforce or whatever custom proprietary platform they use, Pipedrive, God knows. And they know to check in with me. They know that I buy a certain amount from them. Based on what I buy, I have access to other things. I really want something. I have someone I can go to and be like, hey, I'd really like to get my hands on this drop. They get to antagonize me when I diss Louis Vuitton in videos. But that is how a lot of luxury sales function, is they actually have that personal element. And obviously they want to go into store, but you have contact with a salesperson. Those salespeople have quotas. They're tracking you. They have the ability to have conversations, just like any B2B or enterprise sales. And brands should be really, really thinking like that and trying to bridge that gap to in real life, whether it's pop-up experiences. Like Base had like a luggage wash recently. That was a cool idea. But these brands are all doing that. And they're doing it in different ways. And you can stay on the internet, but like try to get these conversations one-to-one. Zone in on providing that premium experience. So Aesop, we talked a bit about before. Scroll down to the bottom of their website, video consultation. So literally, you can sign up for free and get on a Zoom with a trained Aesop team member who help you buy gifts for people from Aesop. So if you're selecting something for your wife, your husband, your significant other, and don't know much about skincare, boom, they'll help you and they'll do it on Zoom. Amazing. Or B, if you actually just want advice on your skincare routine and regimen. So I can go for 30 minutes and be like, I don't know how to use any of this stuff. Can you just advise me what to buy to achieve X goal? And they have a person that will help you for a video consultation. If Aesop is doing this, it's because it makes them money. If you are trying to get sales for your smaller brand, you should be thinking about these things. If you have an email list and they're not buying a bunch, you should be trying to get them into one-on-one conversations, free styling advice, free consultation. Hey, we have office hours where you can talk and ask questions about the product. How likely do you think the person is to go buy from you after they have a one-on-one conversation about how to use or style your product or how to make recipes with it or your story of your brand than if they didn't? And even just having that ability to have that up there allows you to separate those customers. There's another exercise I do a bunch in consultations is we'll literally go through people's entire customer database. We'll take a VA and be like, oh, we're going to Google everybody. We're going to call out anyone who's an influencer, who has a really interesting background, works at a cool job. Because guess what? Like, maybe send them a Christmas package. Also, send all your best customers, like send them fucking gifts, send them catalogs, ask them if they want to preview the next drop or have early access to stuff, or if they want to be advice in your product roadmap. Like, engaging with those people is a huge missed opportunity. There's tons of brands that don't take advantage of. So this idea of CRM and putting everyone inside a pipeline, looking at your email list, getting people to sign in one-on-one, having ways to activate. Moncler is another great example where I believe they actually offer like styling. Like literally you can go in store or online and they will have someone help you style Moncler stuff with your existing wardrobe. They'll personalize things. You can go and shop at the boutique. They'll actually offer styling. I mean, that's a great opportunity for a luxury brand to do that. You should be thinking about that too. And I'll save Dunhill for another video. This Dunhill case, this example of like creating a product for marketing, is something that deserves its own segment of video. But this is what you want to think. You want to justify premium price points. Tell the story of your brand. Make great products. Tell the story of those products. Art direct and have intention inside everything. Begin to get those relationships from just tons of people out there seeing your stuff to one-to-one relationships with your best customers, your biggest customers, or all your customers if you can swing it. If you're beginning to work through all those things, presenting those stories online in multiple ways, you are building a world for your brand. You are giving your brand longevity and life and value. And whether you are just starting or you're doing it someday or you're already deep in it, like these are the things to talk about. And I work on doing things like this at a super high level with big brands. Where at Van, where I'm creative in residence, we do like these really like large scale websites and branding projects for larger groups. But there's 100 ways to look at it from small to large. I'm bringing the same level of intention in what I'm creating as a brand that's coming from nothing. And I think no matter where you're at, if you ever want to command those price points, if you're selling a brand on value, that's a whole different story. And like this video is not for you. But if you're building a brand on something bigger than that, then you should be conscious of these activities, like writing them down and using them as North Stars. Any questions about this kind of stuff, as always, just hit me up. Drop them in the comments, whatever it is. I'm going to do a series on this that goes beyond like the web I talked about here today. So any ideas that would be good for that, just let me know. But social media is definitely one of the ones we're going to hit. And we'll be back soon. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate y'all so much.